So the dog sitter had kind of alluded to the fact that he was still living with his ex and making out to her that he was going to go back to her. But then there were other women, and then there was me. We were having lots of fun. We were really passionate with each other, really fancied each other, but also really enjoyed each other's company. And as far as I was aware, loved the same things. And we had this like solid family unit quite quickly because he kind of just pushed himself into my life. Like I remember being at work and chatting to a couple of my really close colleagues and saying, oh, I'm not sure, because I was quite like worried about it. And they were like, no, he's lovely. And then one night he'd gone over to my ex's house to pick up the children without telling me. And I just felt a little bit like he just did what he wanted, but yet he'd keep his own stuff. So you couldn't get in touch with his ex-wife about the dog or anything. You couldn't get involved in his life because, of course, he had to keep you divided so he could conquer. Because if you actually hooked up with these people, they'd be able to tell you the truth. Anyway, in the midst of all this, I'm at work and I was getting a lot of stick for going out with him because it was just an added thing to their bow where people were just bitching and gossiping and they were all making out. I was going out with him just because he was on the TV, and my closest mates knew that wasn't true because they knew that he chased me for these couple of years and I wasn't interested. So they were like, not true at all. But it was all making work much more difficult, even though work was always a bit like that anyway in that trust. It gets worse. And I'm kind of alluded to the fact that with this woman who's just had a baby. Told me about this woman that he was sleeping with that was pregnant, but it wasn't his. Who knows? And that was just what it was, and it was just a bit of fun. But there were quite a few of those. And he was still living with this other person who I think had moved out, but who the hell knows? And it turned out that he was down as the father of this baby. Of course, I couldn't say or do anything because I'm in work and it's very awkward. I've spoken to this lady since. She got in touch with me. But it was very upsetting for me. At the time, I was like, I didn't know what to think. And I did question him time after time after time. And he was just like played it down. And he did go and see her and help her. And I did think it was slightly strange. I mean, even saying this out loud, I feel like an idiot. He was buying her a breast pump and stuff. But I'm like quite easygoing. Like I was really good friends with my ex. I had his ex-wife over for food. Like I wasn't that type of person that was like, no, you can't be friends with exes kind of thing. So I was like, thought nothing more of it and actually thought the poor woman's just had a baby. She probably needs the help. But there's a story that goes alongside this because me and him end up, because he's desperate for a baby, desperate to get married, desperate to buy a house. But we end up not being able to get pregnant and going for IVF. This is where the story just gets darker and deeper because I choose to marry him after all this, so I'm sure you're going to say you're your own worst enemy, and I possibly am up until now because I think I just haven't realised my own worth and I've let all these things go on. But basically, a few of the midwives said, because he said the baby wasn't his, that they'd never seen a baby look more like its dad. And the other factor was that the baby was named a name that matched his surname. And I just thought, I don't know what to think about this. Like, I felt like I was losing my mind.